In 2012, we purchased an old brick house. After moving in, we renovated the interior and replaced the roof. Everything seemed normal at first, but after a while, odd things began to happen. The oven knob, which had always worked perfectly, started turning off by itself. We also heard unexplained noises coming from the basement. One evening, something particularly strange occurred. It was around 11:30 p.m., and my mother and I were relaxing in the living room watching TV. Her poodle, Cupid, was with us. Suddenly, Cupid began growling at the kitchen for no apparent reason. We were puzzled because we couldn't see anything unusual there. Then his attention shifted, and he started growling towards the hallway and the door of the room at the end of the hallway. Concerned, I decided to show Cupid that there was nothing to be afraid of. I picked him up and walked towards the hallway to reassure him. However, as we got closer, he became more agitated. In a panic, he wriggled out of my arms and dashed back to the safety of the couch where my mother was sitting. We were both taken aback and couldn't understand what had caused his sudden fear. The house, which we had fixed up with so much care, now seemed to have a mysterious, unsettling side to it. More strange incidents occurred in our house. On one occasion, my mother and my younger brother were in the kitchen, engrossed in playing either Sims 3 or Sims 4 on her laptop. It was late at night. Suddenly, they heard a noise that sounded like the dog's kennel being dragged across the floor in the sunroom. When they went to check, they found everything in its place. Nothing had been moved. This left them puzzled and a bit uneasy. Another eerie experience happened to me personally. It was around 1 a.m. and I was in bed just trying to relax. Out of nowhere, a series of loud bangs similar to gunshots erupted. It sounded like they were right outside my window or even in my room. The noise was so startling that I wasn't the only one who heard it. My sister in the next room heard it too. We were both really shaken. In a moment of pure fear, I pulled the covers over my head, too scared to move. It took a while before I could gather the courage to get out of bed and check what had happened. These incidents added to the growing sense of mystery and unease surrounding our house. The mysterious loud bangs, similar to gunshots, occurred several more times in our house. On one occasion, I think I was the only one who heard them. However, the next time they happened, they were so loud that they woke up the entire family. My father, thinking someone might have been shot, went through the house and around the exterior with his pistol, searching for any sign of an intruder or explanation. Despite the intensity of the sounds, he found absolutely nothing. That night, with everyone in the house feeling confused and on edge, I remember hardly being able to sleep. On a different night, my sister had an unsettling experience in the kitchen. She walked in to find one of the chairs in the middle of the room. Assuming the boys had moved it, she pushed it back to its usual spot. But as she left the kitchen and entered the hallway, she heard the sound of the chair scraping the floor again. Turning around, she saw it moving back to the middle of the kitchen by itself. Terrified, she didn't dare go back to investigate. This wasn't the only time something strange happened with that chair. On several occasions, we found it inexplicably knocked over or moved from its place. These bizarre occurrences added to the growing sense of mystery and unease in our home. In our house, unexplained noises became a common occurrence. We often heard what sounded like footsteps ascending from the basement, yet each time we checked, there was no one there. This eerie sensation was accompanied by a constant feeling of being watched, even though no one was visible. We also discovered an attic in the house which we hadn't known about initially. From time to time, noises would emanate from it. We tried to rationalize these sounds, attributing them to possible rodents or other small animals. However, one day when my oldest brother was visiting, we all heard distinct, gentle knocking sounds coming from the ceiling as if someone was tapping from above. The basement presented its own mysteries. The lights there had a habit of turning off by themselves, even when they were clearly switched on. This random occurrence added to the unsettling atmosphere of the house. One particularly unnerving incident happened to me personally. It was around 11 p.m. and I was in bed. Suddenly, I heard the sound of heavy boots approaching my bed and then retreating. At first, I thought maybe one of my brothers was playing a prank, wearing my boots. But when I checked, my boots were still in my room, either near the closet or in the sunroom where I had left them. Confused, I got up and asked my family if anyone had entered my room. They all looked at me, equally confused, and denied doing so. After this exchange, a cold chill swept over me, heightening the sense of mystery and unease that seemed to pervade our home. Molly, my sister's dog, often reacted strangely to her bedroom closet. She would growl at it, which really scared my sister. On another occasion, my brothers and I were playing Terraria on the Xbox 360 in my room. We were just enjoying our game when our sister came in, looking puzzled. She asked us who had knocked on the picture frame next to her door. We assured her that we had been in my room the whole time, which was obvious since we were deeply engrossed in our game. This knocking around her room happened several more times, adding to the mystery. Now here's where things get really bizarre. One of the beds in the house had faint bloodstains on the sheets. This discovery alone was unsettling, but what our neighbor told us about the house's history was even more chilling. According to the neighbor, the previous owner of the house had committed suicide in the basement. They said it was a gruesome scene. The man had to shoot himself multiple times in the head, missing the vital spots initially. It was only after 3 or 4 attempts that he succeeded in taking his own life. This tragic and disturbing story cast a dark shadow over our house, making every unexplained noise and occurrence feel even more sinister. We had no idea when we bought the house that its previous owner, a man rumored to have struggled with alcohol and mental health issues, had taken his own life in the basement. This piece of information was never disclosed to us. The revelation about the man's suicide suddenly made the loud bangs we had been hearing much more understandable, though it was still deeply unsettling. It turned out that this tragic event had occurred several years after we moved in. These are the main memories I have of the house. My recollection isn't perfect. There are gaps in what I remember, or perhaps my mind is somewhat blocking out these experiences. I understand if you find all of this hard to believe. I know what we experienced, and the thought of that house still lingers in our minds, an eerie and unwelcome memory that occasionally resurfaces. The whole experience was so intense that I never want to set foot in that place again.